Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we are going to be building a breakfast nook seating area with storage. Got everything set up, all the tools that I need, stuff like that. This is my first time doing this particular build, so I figured I'd take you guys through the steps with me. First thing we're going to do, we're going to go in, we're going to take off all of the trim so everything can sit flush up against the wall, nice and flat. Uh, yeah, so that's the first step, and I'll try to walk you along as I go. Everything will be time lapse, of course, but like I said, I'll put in clips here and there, kind of explaining what I'm doing before I do it and while I'm doing it. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so that part is done. We removed all of the trim base molding, and so now we have a flat surface. So now what we are going to do is we're going to make our frame pretty much. We're going to make the bottom part first, of course, and then we're going to build up so we know exactly where everything goes. And as you can see, we have our cutouts or our template of where we want it to go. And we are going to use this nifty tool that I picked up from Lowe's. It's going to do most of the work, to be honest with you, or it better, or it's probably going in the trash. So um, yeah, so we're about to get to cutting and trying to come up with our frame. All right, so we got our frame cut out. It's the most time consuming part. We do need to double that. So what I mean by that is mirror that image, because we need something to obviously sit on top. So, but we gotta have all of our angles and our cuts. So that's what we're gonna go do now. We're gonna make our height cuts, our braces that go along the frame. Then we're gonna make a mirror image of the platform, I guess you can say. All right, so let's go cut. And I'm putting panels on the inside just so it can have a smooth look. And none of this stuff is ever going to be perfect, okay? Our job as professionals is to make it seem seamless, though. So you're going to have little gaps. Don't let that bug you. Nothing a little caulking and wood filler can't fix, okay? So before you paint, the prepping is a big part of that. You know, we want to hide that stuff. But yeah, this is it. Framing the inside and the outside of it. And I'll show you guys the way that I get those angles too fitting in there. So, well, obviously that one ain't great, but I'll show you, we'll perfect that. Okay. All right. So phase two, we're gonna get the outside of it going, get the top, put the hinges on, get it ready for paint. All right, so I went ahead and put the trim on, and you can see the huge difference that it makes there. Like I said about the inside, just want to make sure that we prep it really good. Give that caulk a chance to dry, okay? And because we want it to be level before we paint, cleaned out and stuff. And if we need to re-caulk areas so it's flat and smooth, then that's what we need to do. Not too worried about this stuff right here, the gaps in that, because it will be covered. So the next step now, we're going to sand everything down, sand everything as smooth as we can get it. Stuff like this, if you have edges, that's okay. Smooth, sand that down, wood fill or caulk it, whichever you prefer. Once we do that, then we're going to caulk all of the gaps on the outside. And if you're painting, caulk is the route to go. It takes paint very well, it fills very well, and it's easy to apply. So I recommend that. If you're staining for some reason though, you need to use wood filler. You have to. You cannot use caulk. You can't stain over caulk. So that's what we're about to do next. Sand everything down and caulk it and get this part ready to paint. Then we'll fit up the top, get that going, and I'll have that outside. So that can be painted too before I put that on top. So, all right. All right, now that we got everything caulked, okay, we're gonna let that dry, and then we're gonna go back over it with the sander, get everything nice and smooth again. You wanna let that dry for about an hour or so at least. Okay, while we're waiting on that to dry, we are going to start fitting up the top, get the top ready, okay? And you wanna double check. I just noticed this as I was recording this. Like that right there, we want to fill that as much as we can, like I said, you know, with that caulk. And so when we sand it, you know, we have something hard, tougher at least to sand and give us a nice sharp edge. I don't like how that looks, so I'm going to hit it again with the caulk and give it a chance to dry. One thing I want to warn you about, you only have about 10 minutes after you apply the caulk before it starts to dry, and then you have to wait for it to completely dry before you actually reapply caulking. So you want to try to find those problem areas as fast as possible, so it doesn't prevent you from applying more caulk if you need it. So I'm going to get on that, and in the meantime, I'm going to be fitting up the top, and when we come back, we'll lay that out. All right. All right, guys, I just wanted to show you real quick how we get the angle for the top, how we do all of this, okay? So first thing, I always want to start obviously with my biggest piece and then work around that. So what I'm gonna do is measure from this point to this point, write down that measurement, and I want that lid to be even with this, so I'm going to write down this and this. Okay, so I have my measurements outside, so we're going to go outside real quick and I'll show you how to get that. All right, like I told you guys, I already have my measurements written down. Okay, so first off, you want to rip your board down to whatever size you were. We're doing 19 in there. That's how wide I want my lid. Okay, so you want to do that before you do any of this. So once you have your board ripped down, you want to find the center. You know, whether you're using a scrap piece, a full sheet, whatever it is, you want to find the center of this board that you're using. So we have 56. This is a pretty nifty thing to have too, a project calculator. 56. All right, so I found my center, okay? And so my widest measurement up top was at 42 3/4, okay? So I want to divide that. Okay, and it gives me 21 3/8. So you want to measure out from your center line 21 3/8, or whatever your measurement may be. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing for your bottom measurement. From your center mark. Okay. So now that I've done that, you want to get you a straight edge. Okay, and just go ahead and mark out your lines. Okay, so now if you see, not sure if y'all can see the lines or not, but now I have my seat. Okay, so that's how you do that. All right, rip your board down to whatever width you want. Find center, divide your measurement, and go from the outsides. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna get back to fitting this stuff up, cutting, and we'll get back inside. All right, so we got that all fit up. Okay, got everything rough cut, and it was pretty good. It came out pretty good the first time, but then I went back to make sure they were all flush, and I am going to put a piece of trim so you can't see that end grain of the plywood. So right now I'm gonna go outside, sand everything down, the tops, sand those down, put the trim on the end grain, and get them ready for paint. And this should be dry. Yeah, it's drying, so give that a little more time to dry, come back in, sand it, and get everything ready to paint. All right, guys, so I wanted to go ahead and show you how to simple way to put on this trim. Just using a 1/4 round, 1/2 round trim. Just gonna put this on the front to hide that that edge. Okay, so first thing you want to do is just kind of eyeball it. You know, you want to have at least about 1/2 inch or an inch stick out on each side. So I'll go ahead and cut that real quick. Want to have you a nice wet rag, okay? Put you a pretty good amount of glue on the back of this. You definitely want to have some squeeze out, all right? And some tape. You want to put as much tape. Don't be shy with this, okay? Because this is all we have that's holding this trim up. And I trust glue more than I trust nails, at least. So I'm not saying anything bad about the glue. You want to put as much pressure on it as you can to allow it to do its job. Smear it a little bit. Okay. Like I said, you want to apply that pressure. You want that squeeze out, okay? If you don't have squeeze out, you either don't have enough glue or you don't have enough pressure or both. Okay. All right. Now squeeze out, just wipe what you can. Obviously you're gonna have a little bit under the tape. Make sure you hit the top and bottom, okay? And me, I trust myself enough to, just kind of go with the angle, make a small cut. If you don't, just use a square edge, straight edge, whatever you need to, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, we gotta sand this again anyway to get those dry spots and make sure everything's smooth. So, see, like I said, I'm going to hit that with the sander, so I'm not too worried about it, okay? But this is how it should look, all right? All right, guys, here's the finished product. Put some oil on that one.